10 or 15 days. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Pakistan is set to assume the chairmanship of the cooperation of the organization of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO, for a one-year term following the SCO Council of Heads of State Summit scheduled in Bishkek from 31st August to 1st September 2026. In this connection, our Prime Minister, His Excellency Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif, will be visiting Bishkek to participate in the SCO Council of Heads of State Summit, and he will also hold bilateral meetings with the Kyrgyz leadership. The hallmark of Pakistan's SCO chairmanship will be the SCO summit to be held in Islamabad, hosted by Pakistan in 2027. Further details, including exact dates and program of the visit of the Prime Minister, will be shared with you in coming days. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan remained engaged alongside our brotherly countries in sincere and concerted efforts towards resolving the crisis in the Middle East and the Gulf, and with respect to the standoff between the United States and Iran. On the regional front, Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Defense Forces, Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir, visited Tehran on 24th August as part of Pakistan's continuing diplomatic efforts to facilitate an end to the US-Iran conflict and renewed efforts for reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The discussions during the visit focused on regional de-escalation, breaking the military stalemate, and exploring negotiated settlement to restore regional peace and stability. The visit underscored Islamabad's sincere and constructive role in bridging differences between Washington and Tehran. The Iranian leadership appreciated Pakistan's efforts towards de-escalation and peaceful resolution of the conflict. In this regard, I would also highlight that claims by certain quarters that the Chief of Army Staff and the Chief of Defense Forces visited Iran as envoy of President Trump or the US are misleading and factually incorrect, as his visit was undertaken purely in the context and backdrop of Pakistan's ongoing role as a mediator. Parallel to this important development, the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Senator Mohammad Ishaq Dar also remained engaged with his counterparts in the region. On 14th of August, DPM-FM spoke with Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdul Ateh, primarily on bilateral relations and regional development. In the last 10 or 15 days, the Deputy Prime Minister spoke thrice with the Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan on 17th, 19th and 25th of August, focusing on regional development and the cooperation and importance of dialogue and diplomacy towards regional peace and harmony. And on 24th August, the DPM-FM spoke with his Kuwaiti counterpart, Sheikh Jarrah Jaber Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, reaffirming close bilateral ties and discussing regional developments and emphasis on dialogue, diplomacy and implementation of the Islamabad MOU. Pakistan will continue to actively pursue diplomatic engagement and support all sincere efforts aimed at reviving the peace talks and achieving a comprehensive, just and lasting resolution of the conflict. Moving on to the next topic, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister is in London these days for an official visit to the United Kingdom. The visit focuses on Pakistan-US relations, regional and international developments, maritime security, Commonwealth engagement, and outreach to British parliamentarians and the Pakistani community. In London, the DPM met IMO Secretary General Arsenio Dominguez, seeking urgent and effective institutional intervention for the safe release of 10 Pakistani seafarers aboard MTV Honor. These are the seafarers held captive by the Somali pirates. Thanking the Secretary General of the IMO for his support for ongoing efforts to secure the safe release of 10 Pakistani seafarers, the DPM-FM called for urgent and effective institutional interventions for an early return of all seafarers. Discussions also covered Pakistan IMO cooperation in maritime security, regulatory reforms, and the blue economy. On 26 August, the DPM-FM met a group of cross-party Pakistani origin British parliamentarians. Discussion covered Pakistan-UK relations, the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, Pakistan diplomatic efforts for peace in the Middle East, Makkah Joint Defense Agreement, and the recent developments in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, including economic development, youth employment, and governance. Yesterday, the DPM-FM met the Commonwealth Secretary General Shirley Botchway. The DPM reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to the Commonwealth and its principles, particularly youth development, climate resilience, economic development, and intra-Commonwealth trade. Both sides agreed to strengthen cooperation in youth development under Pakistan's co-chairmanship of the Commonwealth Youth Ministers meeting. The DPM-FM also briefed the Secretary General on Pakistan's role in facilitating peace between United States and Iran. The Secretary General facilitated Pakistan's role in the US-Iran mediatory efforts and for contribution to regional peace and security. Prior to his departure for London, the DPM-FM had held important telephone conversations in the bilateral context. On the 19th August, he spoke with the Mauritanian FM Mohammed Salim Old Marzouk, discussing bilateral relations, multilateral affairs, cooperation, and reaffirming commitment to strengthening cooperation and bilateral ties. And on the 19th, he held an important telephone conversation with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on matters of mutual interest and reaffirming Pakistan's support for multilateralism and central role of the United Nations. And on 20th August, the DPM received a telephone call from Brazilian FM Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira. They discussed Pakistan's mediatory role and our efforts for the regional and international peace and security, multilateral cooperation, and agreed to strengthen mutual ties. On 23rd August, the DPM spoke with Uzbek Foreign Minister Bakhtiar Saidov, discussing bilateral matters and the upcoming SCO summit. They reaffirmed close ties and agreed to meet on the sidelines of the summit. Ladies and gentlemen, you covered the visit of the Syrian Foreign Minister, Asad Hassan al-Shabani, who was here from 19th to 20th August. The first visit by a Syrian foreign minister following the formation of the new Syrian government. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, along with his Syrian counterpart, reviewed bilateral relations and agreed to strengthen institutional engagement and cooperation. The Syrian Foreign Minister also called on the Prime Minister and held meeting with the Pakistan's interior, commerce, and defense leaderships. Pakistan reaffirmed its support for Syria's sovereignty, unity, territorial integrity. And whilst in the Middle East, Pakistan joined our brotherly Arab Islamic countries in several key statements issued over the last 2 weeks. One important was on the 16th of August on Gaza Comprehensive Peace Plan, where 8 Islamic countries, including Pakistan, condemned Israel's rejection of the roadmap for implementing the US Comprehensive Plan for Gaza and rejection of Palestinian statehood. They called for the immediate implementation and end of the plan, an end to war, and progress towards the two-state solution based on 1967 borders. And on 22nd August, 11 Islamic countries joined a statement on Israeli strikes in Syria, which were condemned. This was the strikes on the Abu Dhahr military base in northwestern Syria as a violation of Syrian sovereignty and territorial integrity. They called for respect for the 1974 disengagement agreement and international action to prevent further escalation. And on 21st August, there was this EI settlement plan where 8 Islamic countries condemned Israel's settlement policies, particularly the E1 plan, as it is called, warning that settlement expansion threatens Palestinian territorial contiguity and statehood. They reaffirmed the two-state solution and called for urgent international action to halt the settlement activities. And on 21st August, Pakistan joined 8 countries to rejecting this settlement plan. On the multilateral front, 2 important developments, ladies and gentlemen. One was the Pakistan and France dialogue on multilateral affairs, which was held in Paris on 13th August. Discussion focused on UN reforms, sustainable development, global development financing, peacekeeping, counterterrorism. Both sides agreed to enhance coordination on the multilateral forums, and Ambassador Nabil Munir led the Pakistani delegation. And on 17th August, Pakistan assumed the presidency of the UN Conference on Disarmament, CD, in Geneva, taking up the final presidency of the 2026 session. Pakistan is steering substantive negotiations on the CD agenda. We are also negotiating the annual report and will be preparing and finalizing the UN General Assembly resolution on the work of the CD. And on Pakistan's behalf, I had the privilege and honor to act as the president of the CD. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we express our sorrow over the loss of lives and damage to infrastructure caused by the recent floods in Nepal. Our President, our Prime Minister, and the Deputy Prime Minister have conveyed their condolences, and the entire nation joins them in sharing the grief and plight of our brothers and sisters in Nepal. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the end of my statement, and I now open the floor for question answers. Ji, Tahir Sahab.
बहुत शुक्रिया ताहिर साहब। सवाल असल में मेरी उससे है जो कि मैं अक्सर नहीं करता ज़ात के हवाले से सवाल या अपने ख़बर से मुतालिक, लेकिन चूँकि और माजरत की कि वह आपने अफ़गानिस्तान का जिक्र नहीं हुआ, लेकिन मेरा सवाल अफ़गानिस्तान से मुतालिक है। और मैं भी अफ़गानिस्तान में था 2 हफ़्ते, तो मुझे वहाँ मिला मौका अफ़गानिस्तान के वज़ीर दाखिला सराजुद्दीन हक्कानी से, दीगर लोगों से भी। लेकिन मेरा सवाल उसके इंटरव्यू से मुतालिक है जो कि कुछ छपा भी है। उन्होंने कहा कि पाकिस्तान को उन्होंने तजावीज़ दी है एक मेकनिज़म बनाने का, पाकिस्तानी साइड पे कमेटी का, अफ़गान साइड पे कमेटी का, जो कि कोऑर्डिनेशन करेंगे, राब्ता करेंगे और पाकिस्तान के साथ अगर सबूत हो तो हम एक्शन लेंगे। ये उसने ये बात की है। और उसने ये भी कहा कि ये हमारी ज़िम्मेदारी है कि कोई भी शिदत पसंद जो है वो वहाँ पर ना हो, उनके पास असलहा ना हो। चेक पॉइंट्स पे उन्होंने इंस्ट्रक्शन इशू की है कि कोई मूवमेंट भी उनकी नहीं होगी। और तो बहरहाल ये उसकी समरी था कि वो तैयार है एक्शन लेने के लिए। साथ उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि जो मीडिएशन करते हैं दीगर ममालिक, वो ना हो, पाकिस्तान और अफ़गानिस्तान बायलैटरली इन इश्यूज़ को वो हल करें। तो मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि अफ़गान साइड ने अभी एक विलिंगनेस शो की है और पब्लिकली शो की है। पहले वो इस तरह के पब्लिकली कुछ बातें शायद ना करते थे। पाकिस्तान का इस मेकनिज़म बनाने के लिए क्या मौक़िफ़ है, और जो बायलैटरल ट्रैक का उन्होंने ज़िक्र किया है जो कि अभी इस वक्त मफलूज है या मौजूद नहीं है, पाकिस्तान का क्या मौक़िफ़ है? बहुत शुक्रिया।
We'll take it subsequently. Pakistan notes the proposal by the interim Afghan government's interior minister for a dedicated bilateral mechanism to address contentious issues. We remain open to state-level dialogue. However, the sustainability of any mechanism will depend on tangible actions rather than mere assurances. For any dialogue to take place, Afghan Taliban must ensure that Afghan soil is not used to perpetrate terrorism against Pakistan. Kabul must honor its international commitments, including those under the Doha framework, and ensure that Afghan soil is not used by hostile proxies, particularly the TTP and BLA against Pakistan. We remain ready for institutional coordination, provided it results in tangible and verifiable counter-terrorism measures and effective border management. Thank you. Ji Kiran.
Sir, my question is, Bangladeshi State Minister for Foreign Affairs said that Bangladesh could consider joining Makkah Pact. Do you think Pakistan's security front is taking a lead on diplomatic front? And do you have any further details about any other countries who might be interested in joining Makkah Pact? Because Iranians and Syrian foreign minister who was also visiting showed some interest in it.
Makkah Joint Defense Agreement is a defensive framework aimed at safeguarding peace and promoting regional stability. As an evolving security architecture, the MJDA remains open to countries to share who share their commitments to collective obligations and common security interest. Any formal request will be considered in consultation with our partners in Riyadh and Ankara. The operationalization of MGDA, however, remains at an early stage. Thank you. Ji Anas.
Thank you so much, spokesperson. Two questions, particularly on India. Firstly,
Could you speak loudly?
two questions, particularly on India. Firstly, the former Chief of Defense Staff of the Indian military has said that an Indian drone could have wandered off to Pakistan's strategic site near Sargodha, namely Kirana Hills, unquote, and said it would have hit it during last year's India's unprovoked unilateral military aggression against Pakistan. Your comments on it, number one. And number two, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs has said, quote, appropriate measures were taken, unquote, on removal of its structures from outside Pakistan's High Commission in New Delhi. Your comment on that. Thank you.
Firstly, on your question regarding Kirana Hills and Indian claims by the India, we categorically reject the self-contradictory and retrospective claims made by the former Indian CDS regarding Kirana Hills. During Marka-e-Haq, Pakistan's layered air defense network effectively thwarted India's military objectives, while Pakistan's subsequent response under Operation Bunyan Marsoos demonstrated our ability to impose cost across the conflict spectrum. No strategic asset or sensitive infrastructure was compromised in Pakistan. Attempts to retrospectively recast these events through selective narrative or dramatized production cannot alter the verifiable operational record of May 2025. History established by facts and evidence. History is established by facts and evidence, not by Bollywood-style retrospective claims. These post-facto punches, if I may call them, 16 or 18 months, 16, 17th month after the war, would be better directed at their own faces. वो कहते हैं ना कि लड़ाई के बाद जो मौका याद आए. Thank you.